Experts sitting with me and we talking about LED. Get educated, get educated. How does that light shine so bright? Get educated. Experts sitting with me and we talking about LED. Get educated, get educated.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Get Leducated. Yes. And we're going to do some leducating today.
Yes, we are.
It's going to be awesome. As far as leducating goes, this is going to be some serious leducating. It's going to
be awesome.
We are going to leducate people. Epic. Epic is a good word. I like that word.
Yes.
Umesh, am I saying that right?
Yes, Marcel.
Unbelievable.
Hi, Umesh. Thank you for joining us today.
This is C-Max and MaxLite.
Oh, yes. That's awesome.
Perfect. That's perfect.
So let me emphasize a little bit more about C-Max, right? So the real value proposition, is the fact that we have created this two-part system, which makes it super easy for a customer to onboard controls. Controls historically are very complex. When you think about adding controls to your lighting job, there is the aspect of labor, commissioning, all of those things, right? Plus the cost of controls, the hardware itself. And that oftentimes what we have found, at least in the past, right, that the controls cost ends up being almost equal to sometimes even more than the BOM cost for your luminaires, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you wonder, it's like, why is it so expensive? So when we thought about C-Max and our approach to controls, we wanted to really look at all the stakeholders here, not just us as manufacturer, right? But who's the end user? How can we help the end user actually save on, the total cost here, right? Then we looked at the electrical contractor, the ESCO. How are they going to service all these people? What can we do to make it easy for them? Mm-hmm. So this whole USB.
Pardon me, but when you're talking about cost and simplicity, it's not just like the product cost, but also the implementation cost.
Yes,
the cost of commissioning that
programming.
Job. Yeah, all of those things.
The whole thing.
Much simplified.
Exactly. So C-Max is really it's a two-part offering. We have what we call as a controls-ready luminaire, right? Mm-hmm. And based on your application needs. So you're doing an outdoor application, you need area lights that need to be controlled. You choose a controls-ready outdoor area light. If you're doing a recessed, you're doing an office application and you're looking for a troffer or a panel or a door kit, you're buying a controls-ready luminaire. At that point in time, right, you're giving the option to that end user to onboard controls at any point in time. Mm-hmm. And in many geographies in our country, right, you get rebates, utility rebates on if you add a control, here you get $25, $50 based on different geographies and how the utilities are promoting, these funds. So when you offer a solution where you don't have to rejigger anything in your ceiling, you sold them a controls-ready luminaire, now they can add controls at any point in the future, right? Yep. So that's the power we are bringing with C-Max. Many other control manufacturers, you have to make the determination ahead of time. I want an occupancy sensor in this ceiling. Oh, I'm going to do something else with a different type of sensor in that other part of the building, right? You have to make that combination ahead of time, mm-hmm. Think about that, assemble it, and bring it to your job site. With our solution, you don't have to worry about that. You have a controls-ready luminaire. You're not ready for controls today, no problem. You can go back 6 months down the road, and that's the value add for our agent network or for our ESCO partners to say, you know what? Hey, I sold you this job, 6 months ago. I hope everything is going well. How about controls, right? Can we add controls to that? Now this becomes a conversation again for that party to have with that end user again, right? We don't have to be involved as MaxLite, but you guys can be involved, or then ESCO can be involved, and that becomes the value play for them to have that conversation again, as opposed to saying, cold calling them again. Hey, what else can I offer you? Right now, you can have that conversation happen.
Well, it's a brilliant design, in my opinion, and
thank you.
It goes alongside everything else that's being done in the world right now. So today it's controls. Who knows what it could be 6 months from now, or who knows what 5 years from now, what types of things that you can plug into that USB connector to do something else. I don't
That's
know.
right. Our approach today was, can we start first, because this was our first foray into controls as a company, as MaxLite. We wanted to start off with some very, very simple basic controls, but our vision is there. The USB-C platform absolutely allows us, Marcel, to kind of look at those future states and say, hey, today we are just doing motion detection, but we can do people counting in the future if need be.
Yeah.
We can do, we can do CO2 monitoring. We can do so many other things. It's just your imagination at that point in time, how you want to play and how you want to approach that.
I have my next question here, which is why integrated versus separate sensors, but it's obvious. I mean, for so many reasons of this plugin universe that we've just talked about, but also from a cost standpoint.
The beauty about the USB-C and the integration with the Luminaire is that we've simplified this for the contractor, for the electrician, right? You're no longer having to buy power packs and put all these sensors separately. It's completely integrated with that. Plus the cost differential or in the price that the customer is paying. It's literally, we're keeping this price for a fully integrated controls receptacle equal to what you would get with a non-integrated controls receptacle. So there is no price difference that we're putting out in the market. So it's a free option for you, right? Where allows you to upgrade to controls. If you're not ready today, you can do that tomorrow. So
Right.
We're eliminating this need for having to do wiring, and all of those things are completely done now within the Luminaire. That's the reason we wanted to kind of make this not as a standalone, but make it completely integrated. Plus, we're a Luminaire manufacturer, and our goal is to obviously sell more Luminaires.
Yep.
And controls would be. It's like one of my colleagues says, you go to Burger King or McDonald's, and you buy your sandwich or whatnot, and they'll obviously ask you, do you want fries with it, right? Now we should be able to say, hey, do you want controls with it, right? Because
Yeah.
this
Do you want fries with
is
that?
basically what that is, right? It's a, I'm not as humorous as you and Leslie are, but I feel like, in that context, it's quite true. You can ask that obvious question, hey, we can sell you controls, and this is very
Yep.
easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know that you can tell us anything about your roadmap for controls but I'd love to know a little bit more about sort of the direction that MaxLite's going.
So let's talk about the breadth of the portfolio first, because that's more important for your audience to understand.
Sure. Yep.
We're not a we're not a pure play controls company, obviously, right? We're not like Lutron that sells controls.
If you were, you wouldn't be making them cheaper.
Yeah. Right. They're very good at what they do. We certainly don't play that. We're not in that space. However, yes, our intent obviously is to really make this affordable for everybody, right? So this is really an ideal solution for small to medium-sized applications. All our future roadmap right now has controls embedded in them. So anything we're going to launch in the future, you should expect to see more CMAX compatibility with those luminaires, right? So we're going to give you a lot more offerings. So there should be more reasons to say yes to CMAX and to MaxLite than to say, oh, you don't have this, maybe I'll have to go find a different manufacturer for that, right? So we want to take that excuse away from our customers and give them a really broad offering. So that is our goal, Marcel. We are focusing on that at this point in time. With regard to adding more things to the controls, right? As I said, because this is our first foray into network controls, we are taking we're taking baby steps, right? We want to first make sure that we're solving the most fundamental needs for our customers. And there are other customers who have advanced requirements. They will say, I want to be able to do remote monitoring. I want a cloud-based system that I can literally operate from Michigan or from New York City and turn my lights on and off, like the prank you played on your girlfriend.
Right.
So those type of things, we have shied away from it just now, only because we don't have the bandwidth, to kind of have that infrastructure just yet, right?
Right.
Our vision is there.
You know what, though? Again, I don't think that that's a bad move, because I think the good enough market is much bigger than it's got to be the greatest and it's got to include everything market.
Exactly.
The good enough market is sort of like, if you look at how many little home speakers has Amazon sold versus Sonos, and I have both. I love Sonos, but Amazon has sold a hell of a lot more home speakers than Amazon has. And the sound is good enough. Sonos sounds 1,000 times better, but the Amazon speaker does a lot more.
Yeah.
And so they made basically Sonos come to them and make their speaker do a lot more. But the point is that I just think the good enough market is so much bigger. And, you know, that's why, like, what was the company in somewhere in the Northeast? Oh God, I should remember. Digital Lumens. Digital Lumens made these high bay lights, but they were $1,500 each or whatever, right? And they were really cool. I mean, as far as how much light they put out, it wasn't any more than a MaxLite or Philips or anybody else. But their control software was pretty crazy and did all of these things.
Right.
And we just kept saying to them, can you make like a $300 light and a much simpler version of the software? Because that's
Correct.
what our customers need, you know. And I just think that market is bigger than the sort of top end market.
I agree, and I thought, you know, when I first came on board, you know, we have a board of advisors, and we were talking about, okay, what are we going to do about controls and how are we going to position this, right? So I had prepared a slide. I recall, like, it was exactly what you're describing. It's a pyramid, right? And where do we sit in this pyramid? So the top of the pyramid is really this IoT play, right, where you have all those extra features. And those are the tier one players, right? The Qts of the world and the Signifies of the world. They're playing that part really well.
Yeah.
But then the broad base down here, it's huge, right? And who's serving the real need for that?
Yeah.
And that's how we thought. You know, this is our sweet spot, guys. We need to be positioned here, right? Make it affordable, make it easy, make it swappable, that people can do this, you know, very, very easily. You don't need an electrician to come in. You don't need a controls person to come in and do that. And so we studied the space, really understood who are doing what, right? And that's how we thought about this.
It's brilliant.
I mean,
decision.
if something goes down, you know exactly where it is too. There's no guesswork. Whereas in an entire mesh network, you're guessing. Yeah. And what if it's your main computer that went down? Then you really have a problem, because then you have to talk to somebody in a different state or in a different country, and you don't know what's going on. I mean, it just there can be a lot of trouble
Umesh,
with that.
The focus is going to remain primarily commercial, or you're going to have a residential play for controls as well?
So you're really teasing me. At this point in time, we want to focus on the commercial side, because there is still a lot more future things on the roadmap. You know, we'll add more like power packs and things like that. I mean, I know that was a question you were asking me. So we just want to share like the things we're working on. We're looking at different type of switches. Many customers have given us feedback, and early feedback saying, like, you know, I love your 5-button wall switch for your network controls, but can you even dumb that down for me, right? I want to just have an on-off and a dim plus and a dim minus, where I can, you know, turn my lights up and down.
Huge market.
That's it, right? So,
but I think there's a massive market, because it's very fragmented, for good enough smart lighting for residents. You know, Hue, I think, in my opinion, missed the mark. I don't like the hub network. I don't like how they've done it. And then there's LifeX, and there's a few other sort of leading brands out there, but it's a very, very fragmented market.
Yeah.
And, you know, certainly somebody's going to make a massive play there at some point, I would think.
No, and, you know, I mean, you look at Satco today. Satco, you know, obviously another competitor of ours, but they're very much focused on more, say, the resi market than us. They're more on the CNI commercial side. But they've done a great job of launching a great luminaire portfolio, right? And, you know, their lights and their strip lights and they have all kinds of resi things that are now connectable, right? And you can actually talk to Alexa and Google Home, and it controls the lights. So, you know, at this point in time, our focus really is on the commercial side. We still think we're just getting started here. We have had very good success on the basic controls, because that was launched probably, I would say, April, you know, late April time period. So in the last 5 months, we've been pleasantly surprised of how much we have seen as a traction just for basic controls. And network controls was only launched a month ago. And I'll tell you, like, every day we are getting questions around, hey, I have this opportunity. How can you cross from Nlight to us, or from Watchstopper to MaxLite? We are constantly getting these type of questions. So in some respects, we're also learning a lot about our competitor systems. Like, okay, what are they doing interestingly? Like, you know, because you don't get the time to read all the data sheets, right? And understand what's their limitation, right? And what can we do and how we can satisfy that. So we're learning a lot. But at the same time, right, we feel like we're just getting started. So there is still a lot more for us to do. In the next year, we'll probably also add energy monitoring. Obviously we care about the ESCO community a lot. I mean, sure, you guys sell to the ESCO community, and they want these performance contracts, being held correctly. So they want to make sure that they're getting those energy savings as we claim, or the Luminaire claims, right? So we have to solve those kind of problems as well for those folks. So we will add those capabilities to CMAX in the future.
Yeah,
but at the start we couldn't do it. Just give me
and real quick, something I ran into with one of my customers was they hate running 0 to 10 dimming for their fixtures because it's really teeny tiny little wires and they have to climb up in the ceilings that are already there, and I think I just learned from Brian that if you use your network controls, you don't have to do that.
That is correct.
Right? Hey.
Yep.
See,
so that's the cool part of it, right? So before you would have one sensor in your ceiling, you would actually then daisy chain a bunch of different things to your luminaires, right? For them to dim up and down, right? Yeah. Now with the controls ready fixtures and with our controls, everything is already pre-wired into the luminaire. You don't have to worry about that. And then the Bluetooth mesh operates, and then the nodes are talking to each other and knows exactly, hey, I got detected. You all guys need to be at 30% or 50%, whatever the case is, right? And so that's the power of network controls, and you don't need to now wire all these things.
What's the other end of that control look like? Like, is it computer based, or is it a wall panel, or what is it?
You're talking about what other manufacturers are doing?
No,
so are you just basically attaching to other manufacturers' products?
For us to do that, we do offer a power pack today. That will allow you to actually, cross over from MaxLite to non-MaxLite, luminaire manufacturers.
No. What I'm saying is, like, let's say I have a 20,000 square foot office building and I want to use network controls.
Sure.
So I'm using a bunch of networked fixtures, but what are they attaching to? What is telling them to go on or off, or to dim, or to whatever?
I think it's
you need an app. You need an app to commission your luminaires. And it's a self-governing mesh. Once the mesh is on at that point in time, because your sensors actually have all the intelligence built into it. There is a Bluetooth module inside every sensor that is going to go into these fixtures, right?
Okay.
And so it knows that I'm part of the, if I'm a member of this group, I'm part of this member of this group. And if I have a sensor in that member and that says, hey, when there is motion detected, and here is what you need to do for your bi-level dimming when the motion is detected or not detected, for that matter, then all the mesh knows exactly what to do at that point in time.
I see. So the commissioning,
there's no computer. No.
The commissioning software is MaxLite.
It's MaxLite. It's an app you use. That's right. Once you commission that, all those settings are saved on the flash memory of the module, essentially. And it's at that point it remembers all the things you said.
Yep. And there's this little like Bluetooth thing that you can put on the wall, and you don't even have to open up the wall. Brian was showing me all this stuff. It was the coolest thing in the world. I was probably drooling, which I'm glad we were on the phone.
Well, I think again, going back to what's so exciting about all of this is, to me, it's a platform. And now you from that foundation, you're going to build all of the wonderful things on top of it. So, it's a foundation for many things to come in the future. Mm-hmm. And I think it's exciting. And I think there's going to be a lot of copycat products out there in the market, if there aren't already, because it's a much smarter way to do it.
Yeah, that's always the case, right? I mean, luckily we have filed for a patent on our design, and it's a utility patent we have filed for that. So, we are very hopeful that this will come to fruition very quickly. At that point in time, then I think we can at least prevent those copycats from just doing that. As you described. But you're right. We're setting the vision in some respects, right? So a controls ready luminaire, I think every manufacturer is thinking about this, right? How do I make it simple?
Yeah. So of course
there isn't anything that we're doing that is like that is so unique, but we thought about this in a clever way, I feel. Mm-hmm. And it's giving a customer now a choice, right? That really makes it easy for them. It's so versatile, right? You can rezone your applications, and you don't need to worry about, hey, wait a minute, I forgot this is the wrong sensor in this. bring in an electrician to remove the sensor. No more. All you got to do is remove the sensor, swap it, put the right sensor on. That's
it's funny because I had this conversation with a friend of mine this morning. It's easy to make a brilliant product, but to simplify that product, to make it simple, is what's very complicated. Whether it's a website or a lighting product or a control system, making things simple is much more difficult than just making things. Anyone can design or come up with a great idea, but making it simple is where I think the real excitement and talent happens. One last question I wanted to ask you. I don't know if Leslie has anything else, but how has this supply chain nightmare impacted you, your work, MaxLite? Has it slowed down any of your innovation or anything? It's such a nightmare.
No. From an innovation standpoint, I mean, obviously, I don't manage the supply chain team. You'll have another guest from our company who can elaborate more on what we deal with on a daily basis. But the supply chain problems are real, right? And I think folks are now realizing it. I mean, clearly being in the industry and being on the front end, recognizing the fact that that boat is stuck on, in the ocean somewhere and it's waiting to be docked, and we have no clue when that product is coming, right? It's just the absolute reality. But I think every common, person out there is grappling with this, as they're looking to buy some gifts for Christmas and whatnot. They're recognizing, hey, Amazon is disappointing me. I thought it was a next day delivery. Why is it taking me 5 weeks to get a product from Amazon, right? Because of the supply chain challenges. So I think, this is becoming a little bit more pervasive, and folks are kind of understanding that. But in terms of the innovation, Marcel, no, I think I have to say I'm really blessed with a solid team within MaxLite. The guys are extremely hardworking folks. Even during the COVID months, I mean, think about this, to take this challenge of launching controls, both basic and network, and there are different technologies, obviously, within the basic and the network, and try to do this across a broad portfolio of 12 product families where you have to test every single thing, right? When we couldn't come to work for 5 days a week, we were, some guys were there for 2 days, some were for 3. But as a team, we put this massive focus on execution and delivery, right? And that's how we were able to bring this to the market. So incredible. I think, our focus in MaxLite really is, innovate, think a little bit differently, and continue to push the envelope. So I think that's what I want to bring to my team. And, at least my learnings from Amazon and Philips is helping me do that, quite frankly. So, this is something that is, the training that I received at those big organizations is helping me push that agenda within MaxLite. So the team is super energized and seeing the success of CMax today. While it's early, but it's going strong. I think it's just giving us more ammunition to be bold and say, you know what, we're ready for that challenge, and we're going to come up with something interesting and more innovative as years come by.
Yeah, and it's incredible that you're in that position, because I will tell you that I think that the market impression and even my impression at one point in time was that MaxLite was kind of a vanilla line. It wasn't flashy. It worked, and it was well priced, and it was a good line. Sort of like Chevrolet of lighting or whatever. But it's become so much more innovative, and the products are just improving constantly. And this controls thing, I think, is just a home run. I think it's going to take MaxLite from here to,
so they're going to become a Cadillac brand.
Well, maybe even Mercedes.
Hey,
who knows?
Mercedes, Tesla.
Yeah,
Umesh, thank you so much.
We'll work hard to meet those expectations, but we want to start slow. We want to really make sure that whatever we have started, we finish it well, and that we keep our customers happy. I think that's our number one goal right now, as an organization, to service our customers well. So that's what pays our bills, and we want to do that right.
It's amazing. Awesome. You're doing an incredible job, and we appreciate you taking an hour here to chat with us today, Umesh.
Well, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Umesh. It was great meeting you.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Marcel.
And Leslie, I'll see you later.
All right, bye.
Take care.
Bye, Umesh.
Shine so bright. Get educated. Experts sitting with me and we talking about LED. Get educated. Get educated. How does that light shine so bright? Get educated. Get educated. Experts sitting with me and we talking about LED. Get educated. Get educated.